Jonathan Price, and welcome to a wonderful Tech Thursday. I have with me Kevin Simon, who is a winner of our competition we had a couple of weeks ago, and for being the 4,000th member. I don't know that he was necessarily the 4,000th member. Kevin, were you the 4,000th member?
No, I was one of the first members.
Oh,
I
okay.
joined in
So
last December when it
that's
was
right.
like 200 or so.
Okay.
I was
So
one of the first.
yeah, so in relation to, we had a contest for the 4,000, in celebration of the 4,000th member for film scoring practice. And we had a competition, and Kevin was the winner of that. And he had the choice between either doing a composition lesson with myself, or he had a choice of doing a mixing session with one of our other admins. And so he poorly chose a composition with me. So you're going to have to suffer with me for the next half hour. So congratulations, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks. Looking forward to it.
So, Kevin, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're up to, if you're doing any projects now, or the floor is yours.
All right. My name is Kevin. I am from Germany, and I'm making music since 2012 now. But when it comes to composing, I started out last year. So when I say 2012, I mean playing the piano. This is what I started with, and I did it for 5 years. Still doing it besides composing. And any projects? No luck so far, as I'm still in the practice phase, as I call it. I want to get more experience. As I said, I started out last February, and I think I'm not quite yet ready yet. But I had some success on here and there on YouTube, on the big promotion channel like Premium Music HQ, for example. These big promotion platform channels where you can submit your tracks. I had some good success there.
Great.
I am currently on a list. It is called Best of Epic Music January 2018.
Hey, cool.
Two of my tracks are on this list, and it is 1 million views as of
Hey,
now.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And one of our other admins here, Carolyn, she's on this list too, by the way.
Hey, that's
We're both on
fantastic.
the list. Yeah.
Well, good for you guys. It's nice to see that we have some members in our group that are doing really, really well. So for you other members who are watching this, I'm going to leave a link open, or this video open. You can post some of your stuff as to the cool things that are happening in you guys' neck of the woods. So, Kevin, that's awesome. Congratulations on all that success, and I'm excited that you
thanks.
started composing. And Kevin,
Oh,
how
yeah.
old are you?
I'm 25.
Awesome. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
still very, very young in the composing realm. So you still got at
Yeah.
least 50 or 60 years of good writing
Yeah,
to come.
I wish I started out earlier. I mean, I made a first attempt back in 2003 when it comes to playing the piano, but I was too impatient back then as a child.
Yep.
So-
Yep. I know that story
But-
all too well.
Yeah. But as I got older, I got way more patience. Thank God.
That's exactly
yeah.
what happens. All right.
And
So
it's never too late. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're going to do, guys, is we are going to open the floor, and Kevin is just going to ask some basic composition questions, and I'm going to try to answer them to the best of my ability. So if you guys have any other questions in relation to composition or orchestration or anything like that, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and maybe Kevin will ask a question that that you guys have been wondering. So, Kevin, I'm going to open it up to you. What's your first question, or what questions do you have for composing?
All right. My first question. All right. When it comes to composing, as you know, there are three main pillars of composing: melody, harmony, and rhythm. These are the three basic pillars of composing. So, melody wise, I'm pretty good, I think. Developing a motive and stuff. I practice this a lot. But when it comes to harmony, every good melody needs a good harmony. And I'm familiar with the circle of fifths, but I have the feeling that there are many other possibilities to do harmony. Some little, how do I call it, advanced tricks. I would like to know some advanced tricks to give some good harmonic content to my melodies.
Okay.
That would be my first question.
So so we'll kind of dumb it down a little bit. Basically, you want to know the best way to add harmony to your melodies, right?
Yeah, something that goes beyond the circle of fifths,
That's a little more
like the standard one.
right. That's a little more interesting, right?
Yeah, like you have, let's say you're in the major chord. Like you have 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished. But yeah, this is pretty basic stuff, and I think there are way more possibilities than that.
Absolutely.
Like using tones in a chord that are out of scale, for example.
Correct.
I never did this so far.
Okay.
And I would like to know a few tricks of how to spice up my harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's take a look at we're gonna stay in the key of we're gonna try to stay in the key of C because it's a little bit easier to follow.
Yeah, it's the
in
easiest.
terms of accidentals and stuff like that. So we have our C major chord, and we're gonna start from the absolute basic level. So in our C major chord, in our C major key, we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Right? That's our major
Right,
scale.
yeah.
So if we add chords on top of that, we have C major, which is our 1, D minor, which is our 2, a minor 2, an E minor, which is our minor 3, F, which is our major 4, G, which is our major 5, and typically we'll add the 7th. Okay. And then we have a minor 6, which is our A minor.
Yeah.
And then our B diminished. So you're right,
Yeah,
the
that's
3
right.
major, the 3 minor, and our single diminished chord. Okay.
That's right. That's the circle of fifths.
Yep. Well, so
Yeah.
the circle of fifths
Yeah.
works a little differently than that. So that's just the chord structure that we have in every single key, regardless of where we are on the keyboard. The circle of fifths works as such. So if I take the C, I go up a fifth to G. There's my G major. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go up a fifth from G to D, that's a fifth. I make a major chord on that. And if I go from D, I'm going to come down an octave. What's a fifth up from D?
A fifth up from D is it's the A.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So then I make a major chord on A. And then a fifth up from A is...
Fifth up from A is E.
Yep. So then I build a major chord on E. Okay, and then it just keeps going and going and going until we come eventually all the way back to C. Okay. So what's a fifth? What's a fifth down from C?
A fifth down from C would be the F, or
Right.
or it's the G if it's inverted.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're talking where if I'm playing an F chord, the C. So you would be right. So the fifth up from C is G, and a fourth down inverted is G as well. But so to complete the circle, it would go from F to C. Okay, that's just kind of going around the circle and using the second to last chord. Anyway, so that's kind of the basic circle of fifths. So if we have a melody and we're trying to figure out chords for this particular melody, we have I don't know. Let's what is that song? Let's do some. So I'm having. We're just gonna pick a couple of notes. Pick 4 notes.
Yeah. Let's just take the D, E, F, G. Let's
D,
go
E,
in
F,
a
G.
row.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna use these 4 notes, and we're gonna write a melody with these 4 notes. Okay. So
Okay.
let's just do. I have no idea. I'm just going to hit play, and I'm going to record this.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Whoa.
Yeah, sometimes this is the way I write my melodies. Just trying around, picking a scale, and then.
Yeah. So let's see. record that. And I'm going to quantize this because that was really crappy playing because I didn't play it with a metronome. All right, so now we're all quantized. So here's our melody. As crappy as this is, let's see what happened here. Hold on a second. Oh, we're good. All right, so here's... This is supposed to be on 3. Oh, that's why. Sorry. We're gonna get this all nailed up so that we can make this really clear. Sure. That's a little hokey melody. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So I know this is wrong, but most of the time for something like this, I use step recording.
Oh, totally.
Not the best possibility, as it can be pretty robotic, but there is this humanized function.
Sure.
Where you can give this some bit of life.
Yep. And for those of you who had no idea what I'm doing, so I'm using Logic Pro 10, and in Logic Pro 10, if you hit the play button, you can record basically anything you want in there, and then set up a key command. My key command for this function is Shift R, and it captures that recording. So for those of you who are like me, for some reason, when I see a recording button on, I get a little flustered. I feel like, oh, I got to make this perfect or else I'm going to have to redo it. Well, if I just hit the play button and I don't worry about it, for some reason, it's just a psychological thing that I just play better and I play more emotional, or I don't know, whatever it is it just happens. And so with that stepwise thing, it is really handy. However, I find that if I play it in, I get more like this value is at what is the velocity value? Let's see here. Sorry. 77, 81, 75. So it kind of random. It plays it as I play it. So however you want to input it, that's fantastic. And you know, all the power to you. So that's just kind of what I did. So let's take the first of these, the first 3 bars here. So I had... So we can start off with C. Or, except I started on D. So the melody that I already can't start on C because my melody note first starts on
the D.
On D, right? Okay. So what we can do though is we can start on any chord that would have a D as either the root, 3rd, 5, 7, or 9. Or
okay, 7 or 9 works too.
It would be a C, but we're not going to use C. So pick a chord where the D is a member of either the 3rd, or the root, the 3rd, the 5th, or the 7th.
That will be, so let's say, G major.
G major, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so now my melody has suggested that we are in the key of G. However, this F says we are not in the key of G. So already we're going to create some really interesting harmonies because we haven't...
Or it would be G Mixolydian.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, because we haven't yet given the audience a sense of we are fully in this key, here it is, Merry Christmas, whatever, right? Okay, so we have, so here's our G chord. That's a pretty good indicator that we're going to be in C. Okay, we can make it even stronger by making it a G7 chord at the very beginning. So we have our D, right? There's our G7.
Okay.
That's an okay one. What else could we? So we're gonna come up with chords on beat 1, beat 3, beat 1, beat 3, and beat 1. We may add beats 2 and 4 here. So let's. So we said we want a G7, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me open.
I definitely should use more of these sevens. I never really used them. I always thought they were more for jazz.
No.
Yeah.
Use these sevens. The sevens are
Yeah.
absolutely critical to get to and out of interesting keys.
Yeah.
Let me open up.
What I sometimes use is the app 9.
Yep.
If you take this down an octave, then it's the 2. This is sometimes I use this on my string arrangements. It
Yeah.
makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yep, exactly. Especially when you spread them out, it can
Yeah.
make it really, really nice and wide and open.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's our G7 chord. I just added it in there. And so we have what chord did we add here? C. Okay, so let's add the C and just reposition. Oops. Undo. C. Okay, so now we have our C. Okay. What can we add here on the F? So we have F. We can add, what would the...
So we could use the F major, which
use
would
F
be the
major.
subdominant.
Okay. So let's try it with that. We have... Okay.
Yeah, right.
or-
The inversion.
Do you want the root or do you want the inversion?
I think the inversion is better.
Agreed. Okay.
Sometimes you can combine them very clever.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about inversions, it's important to think of where the melody is, and if because your harmonies are going to lead you down into a direction you may not want to go with your melody. So let's say you have a melody that you are absolutely dead set on, and you start voicing chords in a particular way that makes that your ear wants to change the melody to fit the correct voicing in the chord. So if we were to do this in all root position, if we had, that sounds a little childlike, which if you're going for a childlike thing, if you're doing it up here and you have this kind of thing, that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what we're going for, though.
Yeah, changing the harmonic content can give you a whole different outcome. I learned that from the Evident course that I did. They showed me some melody, the exact same melody 6 times, but with different chord progressions.
Yeah.
There was a huge difference. It was the same melody, but it sounded very different.
Exactly. And that's kind
This
of what
is
we're
why
doing.
I find this so interesting.
Yeah. So, okay, so we have this G7. And do we want this G7 in root position, or do we want it in... So we have it... There's root. Here's first inversion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this inversion because our melody starts on D. We don't want our root.
Yeah.
It sounds a little muddied.
Yeah,
Or-
probably the first inversion.
Yep, I agree. And we'll just use it as a... Okay, so we have... Okay, now here we have a F. So let me go back and change this one to... There. And then we have F. Bum, bum. So what are we going to put on here? We have an E.
An E, so we could use here E. That would be maybe E minor.
Okay, so that's in
Yeah.
our key. Yep. So we can use E minor.
Yeah.
What else can we use?
E minor, or we could what
E would be
else
the
can
third
we
of
use?
what?
It would be A minor. We could also
We
use
can
A
use
minor.
Okay. What else could we use? Let's come up with all the chords we can use possibly.
So the C major is also has the E,
Yep.
but we already had it.
Yep.
So what please be E, then maybe the F7.
Oh, okay, an F7. Yep. F major 7. Okay. And there's also, so let's think outside of the key now.
Yeah, that's the interesting part.
So we have E. What else can we use E in? We have E minor.
Yeah.
What else could we use?
We can also use can we use the E major?
Exactly. Okay. What else could we use?
What else can we use?
E would be the third in what?
E is the third of C.
Okay. So we have a C major. What if we move everything up half a step?
Oh, that's interesting. What is this?
This is C sharp minor. We can use C sharp
C
minor.
sharp minor, which is way out of scale.
Way out of scale. Okay, we're going to go even further out of scale. Okay. E would also be the fifth of A major.
Yeah.
And E would also be the diminished fifth in a or the seventh in an F sharp major 7, or the fifth in a B flat diminished chord. Okay. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the combinations, and we may have missed, one or two, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so we have all of these chords to use. Now, we're obviously not going to pick like C sharp minor for this particular example. We're going to try to keep it relatively close to C. Okay, so is your mind completely blown now? Or yet?
Yeah, a bit.
Good. So it's important to remember that if you find pivot points, and what I mean a pivot point is any place that you want to add a chord to your melody. Okay. You can just experiment with as many chords as you can possibly find with that single note. So we have C, E minor, A minor. So that's the root third and the fifth. Okay. Then
that's what I would normally use right now.
Right. So then we add the seventh. And then we get into the weird stuff. We have E is also the third of E major. It's also the seventh in, that's just inverted, sorry. And then we have C sharp minor is the third of C sharp minor, the fifth of A. So you basically take the, whatever you had in your root key, in your root, C major, and you basically take whatever chord that is and make it minor. So if your major chord and you make it minor, you want to go up a half step to make it minor. Conversely, if you have a minor chord, there's your E, and you have an A minor, just make it major. That's a great way to get 6 chords out of one note without going way too far out of the craziness. Okay?
Yeah, that's what Beethoven did with Für Elise, where it is an A minor, but he uses this E major, which is out of scale.
Yep. And if you think about it, it's actually the relative major, because he has A minor to the... So it's not too far off to say... Okay, so we're not too far out. It still makes sonic sense. Okay, so let's get back to our... melody here. So we have, let's just play this, and I'm going to slow this down because I don't like it that fast. Okay. So we have our E, our transition. What kind of chord would you like to put on there?
What do we have here? That's what is this? Oh, another E.
Well, so we're still trying to figure out what chord we want to put on this E chord or this E note.
And this E note. So yeah.
So right
So
now
normally,
we have,
yeah.
and then F. So where does this go?
Where does this go? So I would if I would do this, I would probably land on the E minor or something like that. I would experiment if I had my keyboard right in front of me now.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's try these keys. Nope. G7? No, that doesn't work because it doesn't have the E in it.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Oh, F7, yeah.
Okay, we have that. Or we have... okay, or we have... what was there was another one. If we were to stop there, that would be a cool ending.
Oh, yeah.
So it would be
A
like
major.
like that transition.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay, so there's a pot, and so you would pocket that away for like an ending, or a transition into some other motif or anything like that. So let's see. That's kind of cool, but it doesn't really help us to move on. So let's go with something basic, okay? Because I feel like this is a transition chord. We don't need to end on anything. So
yeah. So what I would like to do there is maybe some question and answer in the harmony part.
Yep.
That we don't end on a C major. We do it in the answer part. There we can end on a C major.
Correct.
So in the question part, it should end on anything but C major.
Correct. Yep. Exactly. Absolutely. And even in the answer part, you can give kind of a half answer, which would be that weird A chord or E chord or anything like that. Okay. So we have. No. Not quite. The C works really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's more of a question statement.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because we end right here on a D. Okay, so let's add this C in here. To G7. Okay, so we're not getting too crazy with our harmonies yet.
Yeah.
Okay, very basic. Okay, so there's a lot that we can do with this harmonically because there's all sorts of leaps and skips and things that are going on. So we have this little hiccup or a little pickup note. Okay, so let's do this backwards. Let's spell this out harmonically backwards. Let's say that our last note is C. So if we look at the key, if we look at, sorry, undo that. If we play our C, we have all sorts of chords that we can land on with C. We have C, we have F, we have A minor, we have an E minor 7, which is like a C7, if we voice it in a particular way. We also have C minor. We have A flat major. We have F sharp or F sharp diminished. Okay, so that's one way to get to it. We have, let's see, I think that's almost everything. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. We also have a G suspended, which we can use the C. Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of chord do you want to end on? Do you want to end on the full tonic C, or do you want to end on something goofy?
Maybe we can end on a C, but play, for example, C sus4 or C sus2 before that, resolving into it. That's something I would do.
So
sometimes.
You want to end on a C sus2, or you want to end on a full C chord?
I would say let's try a C sus4, resolving into a final C major. Something like this.
Okay, so right here on beat 1, do you want me to put a suspension, C sus4?
Is this the last note, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I would say the sus4, and then what is it? And then playing the E, resolving the F into the E.
Okay.
Something like this. I would do it if it was strings. Then I would do it like this probably.
Okay, so we have this. Okay. All right, cool. So let's back up a measure and see where it lands. All right, so we have this little... Okay. All right, so what do you think of that?
Or we can put the C sus4 before that. Not the final note, but the one before. I would say
like that?
Yeah, like that, or the second not the final note, the one before that. That's we're currently two notes before that. Yeah, right.
Beat 4.
Probably something like this. Yeah, as I said, if I was on the keyboard right now, I would do it. I would experiment with this.
Kind of like that. You want
maybe
beat
like
4,
this or the one before. Yeah, I think it's both possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because, and here's the reason: you have the D, which is part of the G chord, and you have the E, which is leading into the C chord, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave it in beat 3 just because it makes that pull a little stronger.
Yeah.
If you want your audience to be fully in sync with you and fully engaged with you, give them that full 7th chord and let them hear it. Whoops. Sorry. Give them that full 7th chord. Because then that F has a whole lot more pull than just a quick thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's a big hit, something like a something big that's right in their face. If it's something subtle like this, we want to make sure that they can hear it and they can feel that 7th. Okay. So let's back up to here. This is the first little, but the 4th measure technically. Okay, so let's back up. So we have C or F. Sorry. My ear hears a D minor chord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what my ear initially hears, but we can change it if you'd like.
Yeah, many possibilities. But I think the D minor is all right in this.
Okay, so let's try, just for giggle's sake, let's try. So the F works, it's just not as strong.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try. So that adds some interesting characters. So we have a B flat.
Yeah, which is out of scale. Way more interesting.
Okay, we can still transition. Is a B flat 7? No, a B flat 9. Technically, Logic is saying it's a B flat 6 over a sharp 11, but we're not going to worry about that. We're just... Okay, so you want to use the B flat?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is way more interesting.
Yeah. Cool. I like where this is going. Okay, so now we have to remember that we're getting into B flat. So let's look at and see how we can get into there. It's very almost Zelda. Did you ever play Zelda, like Legends of Zelda?
Yeah, I know this, but I'm not too much a fan of this.
Right. Yeah. So it's a lot like these old school video games that have these kind of interesting motifs and movements and things throughout it. So we're kind of in a cool spot. Now we may need to change that G7 to something that still has the 7th in it, but a little less abrupt and in their face. So let's back up just a little bit. Let's back up and listen to what we have so far, so we can see it better here. So let me show you what my ear initially hears.
Okay.
So we starting here with this G. We have right. No, what was I? That's one of them. There it is. G minor. To... Nope. Okay, so it's G minor to D minor to B flat. That's what my ear hears. So it would be... let's play this in actuality. Let's see here. Something like that. It would end in a different kind of way, or oops. Yeah, so we have some goofy stuff here. I kind of like using the B flat. first inversion or the second inversion to keep this F the entire way through is going to be kind of nice. So if we go kind of suggests that we're going to go to F, but so let's do a B flat here. So yeah. So if we actually play this out, let's drop this guy down an octave.
Yeah, maybe in the other inversion.
Yep.
The chords are closer together.
Yep. It's a good way to get mileage out of a chord that doesn't feel like it has to change. So so we have a couple options. If we wanted it more exciting, keep that root up in that root in the middle and have it be in second inversion. Ooh, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
So moving this root up octave, and then move this guy back.
Then we have the same chord.
Yep. Yeah. So there we go. So now, oops, let's do this. Here's how we get some major mileage out of this. This is another one of those melody tricks that you throw everything up an octave. You can keep this sustained over the top of it because so this melody will play, and then you would double this. Copy. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have. You can get more epic with it. And
then, I often do this doubling.
And then you can go, if you go up, you can go up to the D. And then just do the whole melody over again in the key of D. So that's one thing you can do. So did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in B flat. We would go so I'm going to play that instead. So we're going to delete this. So, oops, sorry. Okay, so if I capture that and I change this to D, now hear what it sounds like.
Interesting.
Completely different.
Yeah, completely.
So now in this we have the ability to go a whole many different
change.
Yeah. I mean, we can even go to A minor from this because the fifth of D is A, and so we can go back to A minor and still pretend that we're in C.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So by using all of these different chords and different harmonies, we hardly used any theory with this. We're just using our ear and we're just using, what we think sounds good, right?
Yeah, that's the most important thing. It has to sound good. If it's simple, then so be it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. All right. Any questions on this?
I will do some more research on this, on how to use harmony, definitely. But for now, I think this was pretty good. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
It was a good insight on some little more advanced tips and techniques as I normally would use.
Sure.
And I will definitely try to make more use of the seventh. I never really use it. It always sounds so jazzy to me. So and I'm not
how you
much
use
into
it.
jazz.
So, yeah, exactly. It's how you use them. So that's very, very jazzy. That major seventh.
I love jazz, but I don't play it.
Okay, so that's a very kind of film noir French style jazz. When you add like the minor seventh or the major minor seventh. Disguising the seventh in terms of ninths, you can disguise it with not really disguise it, but embellish it a little. Howard Shore uses sevenths a lot. Williams uses sevenths all over the place. And Williams, or Harry Gregson Williams likes seventh as well. These guys, they will take a seventh, but they'll only use they'll move it around. So like if they'll do it in stepwise motion. So they may have like so we have a F7 chord. That doesn't. It's kind of jazzy, but you can make it romantic.
Yeah, definitely.
So, little things like that. You can still use the seventh in a whole bunch of different ways. The sevenths are really good for action stuff too. If you have. So you can do more percussive things with sevenths and things like that. Another question.
Very nice.
Let's do one more.
So the next question I have is, what exactly is a Neapolitan sixth chord, and how do you use it in context? It's a thing I often saw, but I've never really see this in action.
Right.
So I always hear about this, but what exactly is this?
Okay, so the Neapolitan chord is based on. You'll typically find it in minor keys. So let's say we're in our key of C. And we're in our parallel minor key of A minor. So most of the time you find this particular chord, a Neapolitan chord, in a first inversion. A Neapolitan chord is essentially a flat 2 chord in the key. So if we're in C major, it's a D flat major. Okay.
Yeah.
If it's in A minor, we're going to do a B flat major. It's going to be a major chord. Okay, so it's always major. You can't have a Neapolitan. You could have a Neapolitan minor chord, but it wouldn't be called a Neapolitan. It'd just be called a minor 2 in the key of C. Okay, does that make sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, it makes sense.
Okay, so in the key of A minor, you'll find this a lot in first inversion. So we have first inversion A minor. Or second inversion A minor to first inversion B flat. Okay. So in practice, this is used all the time. This and chromatic medians, which I can explain later, but are so A minor to B flat. So I'll just play a little bit with just these chords. So, Okay, so things like that. So it's just going back and forth. You can use that flat, excuse me, that flat 2 chord or Neapolitan chord to get a little bit more mileage out of a melody or out of a sustaining pad, or to get a little bit more emotional life.
Yeah, definitely. It sounded beautiful.
Yeah.
So glad I asked this.
Yeah, absolutely. That in you have to be careful with the voicings too, because if you're not super careful, you can end up going to it's easy to get to F from A minor using the Neapolitan chord. The Neapolitan is a great way to transition keys.
Yeah, this is something I heard. So that this is a kind of chord that you use for key changes.
So I just went a whole bunch of different directions using that Neapolitan all over the place.
Yeah, sounds beautiful, definitely.
So that's a lot of the cool things that you can use with Neapolitans. All right, anything
Great
else,
stuff,
Kevin,
yeah.
that you have?
A little question. What exactly is the difference between the 3/4 and the 6/8 time measure? Because to me, it is basically like the same. Yeah. So I often heard that in the 6/8 measure, the 1 and the 4 are accentuated, and because of that, I thought wouldn't it be basically the same? This is these were my thoughts behind this.
Right, and counting wise, in terms of like where the accent falls, you're just basically putting 2, 3, 4 measures in a 6/8 measure and just counting it like that. Because you're right, if you have 1, 2, pretend this is 3, 4 is actually 6/8, you would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Where in 3/4 it's a lot slower. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A lot of phrasing also happens differently in 6/8, because you can bypass that fourth beat and not make it accented, which can give you a little bit more flexibility in your melody if you want a longer motif or longer phrase in that 6/8 measure. Does that make a little more sense?
Yeah.
Well, then we'll just kind of wrap it up here. And Kevin, it was awesome meeting you. Awesome talking with you. And
definitely.
For all of you guys who have been watching this, thank you so much for tuning in this week and bearing with all the craziness that is finding harmonies, using harmonies to melodies and things like that. So if you guys have any questions, again, please comment in the comment section below, as well as I'm going to open it up to share cool stuff that you've either films you've been working on. Please don't. I'm going to ask that you guys not post links to the stuff. Just kind of give us a brief description as to, you know, if you're working on a film or anything like that. Just hey, this is kind of what I'm working on, kind of thing. So next week, we are going to be starting a series on MIDI orchestration and how to use all these little MIDI notes and what all you can do with just this MIDI data. And it's going to go, we're kind of going to talk about orchestration, but we're also going to talk about how to correctly use this MIDI data, automation, and things like that. And this is going to apply to any DAW that you may have, whether it be Logic, Digital Performer, Cubase, Pro Tools, Studio One, Ableton, whatever it is that you have. I'm going to try to make it applicable to your situation. So with that in mind, Kevin, say goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. It was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
You bet. My pleasure. And we will talk to all of you guys next week. Have a wonderful Thursday. Peace out.